Hello and welcome. This is Notibot Yenji. I'm your anchor, name, and this is your daily news recap. In the Middle East, a complex web of tensions and negotiations continues to unfold. Amidst the escalating Iran war, Russia is making its move in Ukraine, starting a spring offensive that's drawing international attention. And in a surprising twist, former U.S. President Donald Trump is back in the spotlight, insisting Iran wants a deal despite initial rejection. Let's take a closer look at these developments and what they mean for global stability. As tensions escalate in the Middle East, a new front has emerged, diverting attention away from the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has taken a new turn as Russia escalates its assault on the country. Just last week, Russia fired nearly 1,000 drones and 34 missiles at Ukraine in one of the war's biggest bombardments, followed by Ukraine's own response with almost 400 drones. This marked one of the largest reported overnight attacks on Russian regions and Crimea. The situation has left many wondering if the world's attention is being diverted away from the conflict. The Iran war, which began in February, has indeed taken center stage, with the U.S. redirecting its air defenses and easing oil sanctions on Russia. This move has left Ukraine facing Russian assaults with dwindling resources, fueling fears that Moscow has wider ambitions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed his disapproval of the U.S. decision, stating it would further enable Russia's military campaign. The Trump administration has also ended talks with Russian and Ukrainian delegations, citing the Iran war as a priority. The administration has warned that it could turn its back on the conflict if peace efforts come to nothing. The situation in Ukraine matters because it is Europe's biggest conflict since World War II, with the future of the region hanging in the balance. The ongoing violence has resulted in significant loss of life and displacement of people. The international community's response to the crisis will have a lasting impact on global politics and the future of the region. As the conflict continues to escalate, it remains to be seen how the world will respond. As tensions between the U.S. and Iran continue to escalate, President Trump has delivered a surprise twist, sparking fresh hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough. U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that a deal to end the Iran war is near, following Tehran's dismissal of his 15-point ceasefire plan. Iran's foreign minister later denied any negotiations have taken place, saying, "No negotiations have happened with the enemy until now, and we do not plan on any negotiations." Trump insisted that talks are underway, claiming Iran's leaders want to make a deal, but are afraid to admit it due to fear of being killed by their own people. The 15-point U.S. proposal, which was shared with two officials from Pakistan, includes sanctions relief, a rollback of Iran's nuclear program, limits on missiles, and reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Iran, however, has proposed its own 14-point plan, which includes a halt to killings of its officials, means to ensure no other war is waged against it, reparations for the war, and the end of hostilities. The Iranian plan also asserts its sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. The conflict has resulted in significant human tolls, with over 1,500 deaths in Iran, nearly 1,100 in Lebanon, 20 in Israel, and 13 U.S. military members. Millions of people in Lebanon and Iran have been displaced. Australia has temporarily restricted some Iranians from traveling to the country due to concerns they may be unwilling or unable to return home. The situation remains volatile, with ongoing attacks on Israel and Gulf Arab countries. The international community is watching closely, as the conflict has major implications for global energy markets, regional stability, and the Middle East peace process. As tensions escalate on multiple fronts, the world is now shifting its focus away from Ukraine towards a different kind of battlefield in the Middle East. The Iran war has diverted global attention away from Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine, as the conflict in Eastern Europe enters its fifth year. Russia has continued to escalate its attacks on Ukraine, with the past week seeing almost 1,000 drones and 34 missiles fired at the country. In response, Ukraine launched almost 400 drones in the largest reported overnight attack on Russian regions and Crimea. The situation in Ukraine remains a major concern, with fears that Russia's intentions may extend beyond its current military campaign. The U.S. has warned that it could abandon its efforts to negotiate a peace deal if progress is not made. Meanwhile, the U.S. has also redirected its military resources to focus on the Iran war, with American Patriot air defense missiles being moved from Europe to the Middle East. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed concern over the U.S. decision, stating that it will further enable Russia's military campaign. He warned that Kyiv will face shortages of Patriot systems, citing that 803 missiles were used on the first day of the Iran war. The U.S. produces 60 to 65 missiles per month, which has raised concerns over the impact on Ukraine's defenses. This development has further highlighted the complexity of the situation, with multiple conflicts drawing resources and attention away from each other. As the situation in Ukraine continues to unfold, it remains unclear what the future holds for the region. As diplomatic efforts continue to falter, a surprising development has emerged in the long-standing Middle East crisis, involving key players from the region and beyond. The Middle East crisis continues to escalate as tensions between the U.S., Iran, and Israel remain high. In a surprising move, U.S. President Donald Trump has claimed that Iranian negotiators are afraid to negotiate due to fear of being killed by their own side. This comes after Tehran dismissed a U.S. ceasefire proposal and countered with its own plan, stating it had no intention to negotiate. The U.S. president later suggested that Trump was prepared to unleash hell on Iran if it did not accept defeat. This statement has raised concerns among international observers, who fear that the situation is spiraling out of control. The White House has refused to comment on the exact nature of the U.S. proposal, but officials have made it clear that they will not back down. China's Foreign Minister, Wang Yi, has urged dialogue and signaled that both the U.S. and Iran have shown signs of willingness to return to the negotiating table. However, this optimism has been met with skepticism by many, who fear that the situation is too volatile to be resolved through diplomacy alone. The conflict has sparked outrage across the Middle East, with Israel's military launching a wave of strikes across Iran, including in the central city of Isfahan. The Israeli military has said that the strikes targeted infrastructure, but the move has been condemned as an act of aggression by Iran. Hezbollah, a Shia militia backed by Iran, has launched fresh attacks on Israeli targets, further escalating the conflict. The situation remains highly volatile, with all parties involved showing little sign of willingness to compromise. The international community is watching with growing concern as the situation threatens to spiral out of control. Tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate as Iran takes a hardline stance against the U.S., sparking retaliation in the region. Iran has rejected a 15-point plan proposed by the U.S. to improve relations between the two countries. The plan, which was unveiled by U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, aimed to address long-standing issues such as Iran's nuclear program and human rights abuses. However, Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian stated that Tehran would not accept the plan, calling it unacceptable and inconsistent with Iran's interests. The rejection comes as tensions between the U.S. and Iran have escalated in recent weeks. In the past few days, Iran has launched a series of attacks on Israeli targets, including a rocket attack on the Israeli city of Tehran. The attacks have been attributed to Iranian-backed Palestinian militant groups. The situation has also taken a toll on the Gulf region, with Iran's attacks on Israeli targets sparking concerns about the stability of the region. The U.S. has condemned the attacks, with Secretary of State Blinken stating that the U.S. would take all necessary measures to protect its interests in the region. The rejection of the 15-point plan and the escalation of attacks on Israel and the Gulf have significant implications for global security and stability. The situation highlights the ongoing challenges in U.S.-Iran relations and the need for a diplomatic solution to the conflict. With tensions running high, it remains to be seen how the situation will unfold in the coming days and weeks. As diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions between Iran and its Western adversaries reach a critical juncture, we'll break down the key details. The Iran war negotiations, also known as the Vienna talks, have been ongoing for several months. The talks, which began in March 2023, aim to revive the 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and world powers, including the US, UK, France, Germany, China, and Russia. The negotiations, currently taking place in Vienna, have been led by European Union Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken. The U.S. has been under pressure to re-enter the deal, which it withdrew from in 2018, citing concerns over Iran's ballistic missile program and its support for terrorism. Iran, on the other hand, has been seeking guarantees that the U.S. will respect its sovereignty and not reimpose sanctions. The country's nuclear program has become increasingly advanced, with the country now possessing uranium enriched to 60%, a level that is much closer to what is needed to build a nuclear bomb. The talks have also involved Iran's foreign minister, Hossein Amir-Abdollahian, and other senior officials. The negotiations have faced numerous setbacks, including disagreements over key issues such as enrichment levels and the removal of sanctions. The outcome of the talks remains uncertain, with many experts warning that the deal is fragile and may not hold. The international community is watching the talks closely, as a collapse of the deal could have far-reaching consequences for global security and the Middle East. The talks are a delicate balancing act, requiring both sides to make significant concessions. And that's all for today's news recap. Thank you for watching. We'll continue to bring you updates on the Middle East crisis, Ukraine, and more. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel for the latest news, analysis, and in-depth coverage. We'll keep you informed no matter what's happening around the world. Until next time, good night and stay safe.